right, let's get started today.
All right, we're live. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. We're really excited to have you here for multicam live streaming for beginners. Let's just get started by introducing ourselves so you know a little bit more about who we are. My name is Josh Clements. I'm the community manager here at BoxCast. I work full-time here. And when I'm not working at BoxCast, I actually own a video production company with this guy called Bumble Media. So today we're actually coming to you with the perspective not just like a BoxCast employee, but also people who do full-time video production.
Right.
We do multicam live streaming for church conferences, for sporting events, for business conferences. Most of our business...
Pretty much anyone who wants to live stream something.
Yeah, anyone who wants to live stream.
We just did some cycling classes that we were live streaming and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
And recently we've gotten into weddings too. So
right.
Our perspective is that of the video person just as much as it is BoxCast people. Here's my information. Here's my email address. So if you have any questions beyond this presentation, you can feel free to introduce me anytime. And this is Wade.
Yeah, so my name is Wade Clark. Like Josh said, we both work at BoxCast. I've been here for about 3.5 years now, and we also started a company called Bumble Media, which was about 6 or 7 years ago when we were in college. So the photo, if you could switch back to the photo there, that is actually the first time I live streamed an event. I had no idea what was going on. We were using a video switcher. I didn't even know what it was. Thank God I had Josh back then because he kind of taught me a bunch of stuff. And now since then we've learned a bunch. But yeah, as you can see, my information's up there too. And I have to shamelessly plug my Instagram, Wade the Video Guy, because
follow Wade the Video Guy.
Because I am consistently trying to post content and post like our behind the scenes setups. And I'll even try to, before we tear this down, post a little behind the scenes setup of what we're doing today.
Let's get this man's followers up.
Come on, let's go.
So like Wade said, we've started out from a really dumbed down level of video production. Right. We started together in college.
We didn't go to school for this either.
We didn't go to school for this. So. We didn't understand what any of the complicated terminology meant or all the acronyms you see in video production. So we've been in your shoes before, and our goal today is maybe to demystify some of that complicated video production stuff for you. So a couple more housekeeping things before we get started. Wade and I tend to talk very, very fast and very, very complicated.
We get excited. We really like this stuff.
We get really excited because this is like our passion. So feel free to download the slides in the description. There's a downloadable PDF, and you can follow along and then check them out later, and they may help you out. There's also links to the equipment recommendations in those slides. Along with that, go to kit.co/boxcast, which is also in the description, and check out all of our favorite live streaming gear and the gear that we recommend to most of our customers. And that being said, to get started, we're assuming you're brand new to this, like we said. So some of this may be like stuff that you already know for some of you, but we're also assuming that some of you have just really are starting from scratch and need to know everything. So we're gonna try to be pretty thorough today in explaining every little thing. And along with that, there's no such thing as a dumb question. So Wade next to me is going to be monitoring the chat throughout the presentation. He's on Facebook and he's on YouTube. Yep. We'll try to get to every question that we can. But like I said, there's no dumb questions, so feel free to ask them in the chat box, and maybe some of the viewers can help each other out as well.
But if you see me looking down at my computer, it is me
kind of bored.
It's not because I'm bored or like texting my mom. It's literally me just trying to read your guys' questions and chat back with you and stuff like that. So,
although there is probably a pretty good chance you'll end up texting your mom at some point halfway
possible.
through. So, okay. Let's get started with today's agenda. What is going on today? I'll just quickly go through this so you have an idea of what we'll be talking about. We'll start by just a very quick introduction to what a video switcher is. Not everybody knows what that actually is. We found that from a lot of our customers. We'll go into just some really basic multicam terminology and explain it as simply as possible. Then we'll actually explain, we'll show you 3 different video switchers that we have to recommend for here today. 3 of our favorites. We're not going to go into any of the complicated, really overly complex, expensive ones. We're going to show you 3 that are consumer and prosumer level. And then, of course, sadly, wireless stuff is still not that good yet. So we're going to talk about cabling, what cables you need. Yep. And we're going to compare HDMI and SDI. My favorite thing to do on jobs is wrap cables, as you know, Wade. So
Josh loves it.
It's my favorite, absolute favorite task in all the video production things you can do. Then we're going to go into some more subjective tips for directing live video, just things we've experienced and things we like to do whenever we have multiple cameras in our live streams. Then we're going to show you some camera angles that you can maybe use as options. Some of them are like, quarantine-friendly camera options, and some of them are like, they're more directed to when you have an audience.
There is a crowd and
when you actually have an audience. Right. And then we'll just do like a quick overview of the BoxCast platform for those that are interested in trialing our actual streaming service. Yeah. So let's dive right in. Let's get right into the basics here. What is a video switcher? This is the really boring definition, but I'll just read it off for you. A video switcher is a device that inputs multiple live video sources and allows a video director to switch from one source to another. So Kevin, if you switch back to us, our director here today, he is cutting from one source to another, and he's doing that using a video switcher. So he can cut from a PowerPoint feed to us, he can cut from one camera angle to another camera angle, and it gives him a lot of flexibility to provide a more enhanced viewer experience.
I was going to say, and pretty shortly here, we're going to show you kind of Kevin's setup and what he's doing and how he's just kind of clicking some buttons to cut to us as well.
Yeah. So they're really awesome, and they're now at a point where they're really affordable for just about anybody to use them in their live streams. That's a boring definition. My definition as a video switcher is basically a device that turns you into a live streaming video DJ, because they're just so much more than something that can cut from one camera to the other. A lot of them have built-in effects now. They have audio mixing. It's crazy.
I mean, and sometimes too, when you are switching between angles and stuff like that, you're maybe also running like an audio mixer. Or I know recently we live streamed a wedding and Josh had to live switch between 3 or 4 camera angles. He also had an audio mixer next to him, so he's like turning up and down levels, but he's also like clicking buttons. So you start.
You have like your headphones half on,
you have your
half
headphones,
off.
Yeah, right. So you're kind of like a DJ.
Picture it like that. So here's a simple graph of how it works. If just to really oversimplify what it does, you have a camera operator on one camera, you have a camera operator on another camera, and those video cameras output a live feed to the device, the video switching device. That video switching device outputs one mixed feed into something like our BoxCaster or video recorder or any other device that can take a video input. And that's how it works. That is like the very basics of video production. So hopefully that helps clarify what we're talking about today. Some other key terms that you may run into when you're doing live video switching events that are really important to know. The first one is multi-view. A multi-view screen is just a one hub to see all of your camera angles. So Kevin, can you actually cut to the multi-view we have here today? Sweet, thanks. So this is like our multi-view screen. This is what our video director is seeing today. We're using a video switcher that has up to 8 inputs on it. So in the bottom half of the screen there, you can see cameras 1 through 8, but you can also load media players and graphics and a black screen.
A black screen if you don't want to get confused or anything.
Yeah, if you want to clean it up. So this allows him to see all of our inputs at once and decide which one he wants to take next. Not all video switchers have multi-view outputs. Sadly, the A10 Mini, the basic version, doesn't have a multi-view output. But if you have more than 2 camera angles, we definitely recommend getting a switcher with multi-view. Because sometimes you want to see the shot before you take it. So on the left there, you see preview. So Kevin wants to make sure he's on the right slide before he goes to our live feed.
Yeah, so maybe Kevin, put like camera 5 in preview for him. So see, now we're in preview mode. So if Kevin hits the cut button, he cuts back to us.
And now we're live.
And now you can't see the multi-view
And
anymore.
that's how it works. So back to other key terms, preview and program we explained. Program just means the live feed. Program is the live output. It's what you're seeing on the screen as you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook. And that's that.
Yeah, they just call, and a lot of people get confused because they've never maybe heard the term program. So that's just what you're going to send to like your encoder if you're doing live streaming. So you're going to send that to your BoxCaster. You're going to send that maybe to your computer. That's the thing that's going to go out to the thing you want everyone to see is the program feed.
It's the polished final version, I guess. Other simple key terms: cut, mix, and wipe. Kevin, maybe you can show them a cut. A cut is just going from one camera to the other, very hard cut. We like to use cuts for the majority of live switching we do. But mixes are nice to do too. So a mix is just like a dissolve or fade.
Yeah, so maybe
if you want to do a fade, usually I like to do mixes whenever I'm going from like a countdown timer to the start of a show, or you're transitioning from like
a video in the middle of the presentation to like over to back to
you're dropping
talking.
in an ad, you might want to fade into it. Or even if you're going into like, if you're showing a shot of outside the building, like if you watch like NBA games when they have the drone shot over the stadium, a lot of times they'll actually fade to that because they're kind of going into like a different scene.
Sure.
You know, they're going like from like on location in studio to like somewhere very far away. So we might fade to it.
Yep.
There's no hard rules on this. It's totally subjective, but these are just personal preferences.
Right.
Then the last thing you might see, the last term is DSK or downstream key. Blackmagic uses this a lot, and it may be kind of like, at first when I saw it, I was like, what does that mean? Like, it's in the live stream?
It makes it sound so complicated, but
it does. Really, a downstream keyer, basically what it is it's a lower third or graphic that is not included in the transition, but it's something you just overlay onto the program. So it's not something you're going to have in the preview and then transition into the program. It's just a graphic you overlay onto your program feed, like a lower third or who knows, a picture of a dog.
Yeah, or if you're doing green screen stuff, you know, that's where you want to use your DSK as well. But
yeah.
Yeah.
There's also upstream keyers too, which upstream key just means it's included in the transition. You add it to the preview, but that's probably not as important for introductory. So we're going to start, now that we've kind of explained some basic terms, let's talk about video switchers that we like. I think actually this switcher is the main motivation for us doing this webinar. This is the Blackmagic A10 Mini. It was released a few months ago, and it's kind of changed the game of live streaming because it's so affordable. Up until this point, you could only get a video switcher for
like $1,000.
A minimum of $1,000. Now this is $299 US, and it's pretty incredible what you can do with it. You'll see on the back here, it has these, this is also in reverse, so sorry if my hands go in the wrong direction. But it has like these 4 HDMI inputs on it, so you can do up to 4 cameras or video sources. So you could, you know, output a laptop into this input right here.
Yep.
It's also got 2 microphone inputs, 2 1/8" microphone inputs, which is kind of a weird connector, but if you wanted to do it, you could.
Yeah, if you were using this one, I might recommend just plug in your like audio. There you go. That's a good one.
That's in focus.
I would say if you were using this switcher and you wanted to plug audio into it, I might recommend actually going into like your camera,
right?
You know, and bringing it through like input 1 or input 2 or something.
Yeah.
Because it's weird. It is weird with the 3/8, or like not the 3/8. Sorry, the 3.5 jacks on the back here.
Yeah. Those are just like your headphone jack inputs right there.
Your aux cable.
Yeah. Your aux cable.
So
it also has an HDMI output, like we were saying, that can be a preview or a program output, but again, there's no multi-view on it, but it is a single output. And then it has here what's called a webcam output. It's a USB-C connector. What this does, which is why this is so game-changing, is it allows you to use this as a capture card. So if you're using streaming software like OBS or Wirecast or any of the other good ones that people like to use, you don't even need to buy a separate capture card, which typically are like $150.
I was going to say
for $300 you can get a switcher and a capture card.
I was going to say
together.
A decent capture card is anywhere from $100 to $300.
Yeah.
So why not get a switcher that does the same thing?
Why not just have the ability, to give yourself an extra output, give yourself more inputs and all other stuff. And then lastly, this Ethernet port here, which we're going to show you the ATEM software today and how it works. This Ethernet port is for controlling the switcher. If you need more than just what's on the top panel here, it's to use the ATEM software.
And I would say if you are using a BoxCaster or you're a BoxCast client, you're going to want to come out of this HDMI out right here. Yeah. So you'll go HDMI from the box, and you'll go right into this one right there.
Yeah.
And then that's how you would get your feet out to it.
Maybe show them like the front and like just some basic.
Yeah. So some of the buttons on the front here, hopefully it's not too blown out for you guys, but you can see it's just as easy as this is camera 1. You know, you want to switch to camera 2, you just click a button. You want to switch to camera 3, you just click another button. You want to turn audio on for camera 1, you just click that guy. So you can see it's very, very user-friendly. Josh is going to show you the software in a little bit that kind of helps you also do this, but it gives you a bunch of stuff. It also has that cut button that Kevin's using. It also has the auto kind of mix button here. It's got fade to black, which you guys will see at the very end. We usually just fade to black when we're done. But yeah, you'll see there are some buttons on here to do stuff. There actually is also picture-in-picture with this, which a lot of people like. So if you want to do like, a PowerPoint presentation in the corner plus your main person talking, you could just click one of these buttons and essentially get it to work with picture-in-picture. So
yeah, a little picture, like a little thing would show up in the corner.
Right. So it's really, really easy to use. We really, really like it. But it's really the price that gets you best. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's worth having in your workflow just because it is even a capture card.
Right.
If you're looking for the next step up though, and you're like, I need multi-view, Blackmagic actually does sell the A10 Mini Pro now too, which is $595. The added benefit that you're going to get with this switcher, we don't have one on site yet, but the added benefit you're going to get is it does have multi-view out, like we were explaining to you earlier, so you can look at all your camera feeds. You can record to a solid-state drive through the USB-C connector, so if you need a backup recording, you can do that. You don't need to do it on your laptop necessarily or through the HDMI out on the A10 Mini. You can stream directly from the device, so this is what you use, right? The on-air button?
Yeah, you just click I had a chance to kind of like demo one, and literally you just click the on-air button, and all of a sudden it just like not all of a sudden. You have to go get RTMP codes, and you have to do a couple stuff, and we have actually an article on how to hook this up with the BoxCast, but it's as easy as just clicking the on-air button and begin streaming that way.
Yeah, so then you don't need to actually use software like OBS or Wirecast. You can go straight to BoxCast from there or straight to YouTube from there. Right. It's like way more straightforward.
Right.
And then you can record, like I said, you can just hit the record button and go to a solid state drive that way too. It has some extra features as well, like the downstream keyer if you want to apply a graphic like a lower third.
Yeah.
You would set it up in the software, you would preload it, and then you just hit on whenever you want the lower third or the full screen to go. And then obviously just like the other one, you can do picture-in-picture effects and then have that like quick access.
They're really hard to find right now, but if you can find one, I'd probably recommend just getting this one versus the $300 one if you've got it in the budget and stuff. But both would work great.
Yeah. So that's the A10 Mini Pro. I think at this point maybe we should just show them the software.
Sure.
So I can show the more in-depth look at where'd that software go.
More there.
Here it is. So any Blackmagic switcher you buy that has the acronym ATEM, like as the name of the device, will give you free access to their software as well. So if you have a laptop alongside your switcher, you can get even more in depth with what you want to do with the video switcher. So this is actually the program feed, and this is the ATEM software we're using for the webinar right now. So you kind of get this like nice little fader right here.
Yeah.
That you can do that with. That's kind of nice functionality. You can change the time that you want to do it. You can actually switch to what type of transition you want. I don't know why you would want to do this, but you can do it. So that's a nice feature as well, and it's not just a diamond wipe. There's
other wipes too, like side wipes and stuff like that.
You know,
and
God forbid you need
diagonal.
A wipe, then
yeah.
here it is.
And then show them the audio stuff too.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the switching section, I would call it, and then on the right side you have this is where you add all your graphics. It gets pretty crazy from here. You can add like media graphics and stuff, but also has built-in audio mixing. So you can see right here, like these are my levels right now for my voice, and I can control and go up and down. And now I'm back again.
Yeah.
I can actually turn on camera, like if I need different audio sources.
Let's just say both of our microphones.
This might sound a little weird.
That probably sounds bad.
Sorry guys, but you can turn on like a microphone from another camera. It's really nice, and then it has this audio follow video feature, which basically I won't turn on, but if you cut from one camera angle to the other, it'll switch the audio source for you, which is cool. So that's pretty in-depth. And then on this side, if you happen to use, like we're using today, Blackmagic's Pocket cameras, you get color control for the Pocket 6K and Pocket 4K on the A10 Minis, which is really powerful because then you can change like your iris and your white balance and...
Yeah, it's all over HDMI.
Yeah, so the video director can do all this from the software.
But you can do that from the A10 Mini or the A10 Mini Pro.
So that's that. This is the audio mixing section. Really nice if you don't have like a big audio mixer, or if you just want to control levels separately for the live stream. Like maybe in-house you have an audio guy mixing for the house sound, but you need a separate live stream level,
Right.
you can just like, if it's not loud enough coming into you, you can boost the levels. If it's too loud, you could lower them. So just a little more flexibility. Obviously not as robust as a hardware audio mixer, but still kind of flexible.
Something. Yeah, definitely gives you something.
And then last but not least, this is the media player section, so you can drop in like JPEGs, lower thirds, images like that. You can't do videos, but you can do stills, and you can use this to add in like all those extra graphics and stuff.
Right.
So now that being said, I'm gonna dip to us.
Oh man!
Whoa!
Nice.
Okay, so so that's the ATEM software, and like I said, it's included with the ATEM Mini, included with the ATEM Mini Pro, included with the other ATEM TV Studio we'll show you today.
Yep.
And it's nice because they constantly update it. They're constantly making improvements on it. And then you're not just limited to the buttons on the front panel.
I think even like more recently, like last week, they updated for the ATEM Mini Pro and the ATEM Mini a way to do audio sync delay. So I know that that's sometimes like you're trying to live stream and your audio is just not right. Like you can delay it right from the switcher now.
Yeah.
Which a lot of like mixers, some mixers have it, but it is just things like that where they just released that last week. And I mean, we haven't had a chance to test it. But
yeah.
It's nice.
And the other use case is that like you may have your video switcher like located in a rack or somewhere really far away, but you want to direct from, I don't know, like a control booth that your video switcher's not in, or you just want to have multiple directors. Like Kevin right now is live switching over there. Kevin, if you want to cut to your angle. he's like, what? Don't tell me what to do.
So there we go.
Kevin's live switching on the hardware, and then I'm also live switching on the software, or I can control separate things like the audio on the software. So I could unmute us while he does the video. Just a lot more flexibility there as well. So yeah, that's how the software works. I'll go back to the slides and we'll talk about the next video switcher, which is the Roland V1 HD. And this one we've had for quite a while, and it's really stood the test of time, I would say. On like what is so great about it. It's got 4 HDMI inputs, built-in audio mixing. It basically has the same things that the other ones do. I would say the biggest advantage of this one is the hardware itself has more features and functionality than the ATEM Mini. So if you don't want a computer to control the switcher and you just want a piece of hardware and you don't want to deal with a computer to get in depth, this can do everything on the hardware itself. And it's just really easy to use. We took my fiance to a 3-day conference that we had to stream in Asheville, North Carolina, and we just needed somebody to sit at a table and live switch, and we didn't even need to show her how to use it. She figured it out on her own.
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. And here, let's switch to like the.
Yeah, maybe you can give a bit of
like
a
Josh said, we needed someone to just learn how to switch. And we took, there we go. And we basically had her, it's very similar to the ATEM Mini in a sense of you just can click buttons here. You'll see you have one row that's red and one row that, this row is a different color, it's blue. A little hard to see on the camera.
One's program and one's preview.
Yeah, and you literally just click buttons again. You know, hey, camera 1, camera 2, camera 3. And the nice thing about this is this kind of has that built-in fader bar that Josh was talking about. So if you want to mix, or you want to do a wipe, you just pull it up and pull it down.
Yeah.
So we really, really like that. Now the other thing, you might go like, why wouldn't I just buy this for $300? This is $1,000. Like, what's the difference? The thing that I would say is, again, you don't have to hook it up to a computer really to get its full potential. You can do everything right on here. I think
it also has on the back, it's more flexible.
On the back, it's much more flexible. It's got multi-view out, or they call it preview. So that's preview is your multi-view. So you'll see with this particular switcher, you'll get like 4 camera angles. So it'll be like right down the middle. Yeah, it'll be like a quad view. Also, it has so it's got an output, which is nice. You could hook up to your computer. It's got its inputs and it's got RCA for audio. But you can also go in and out. The other thing too is it's got a headphone jack. So on this side, you can actually listen to the audio coming into it.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Which is a huge advantage because with the ATEM Mini or the ATEM Mini Pro, they don't have a headphone jack. So you plug audio into it.
But you don't know.
You don't know if it's good until you basically start live streaming.
Yeah, and live streams tend to be delayed.
Yeah.
So it's really hard
to like monitor audio and stuff. But you're basically, for this, you're paying for multi-view and you're paying for a headphone jack. And you're paying for the ability to just, it is truly very plug and play.
Yeah.
You turn it on, you go, you click some buttons, and it's easy. It's simple.
Super easy, super simple.
So.
Then our last recommendation for the same price If you're a video person or you just want to buy a switcher and you think you're going to scale your equipment over time, I think this is the solution for you. The A10 TV Studio for the same price. It's got twice as many inputs. It's got professional XLR audio inputs, so you can come from your soundboard much easier going in through XLR. Same features as you saw with the A10 Mini and A10 Mini Pro with the built-in audio mixing and the video effects and all of that fun stuff. But it also gives you the ability to monitor audio via the headphone output, which is really good too. And it includes multi-view as well. Our main reason for buying this, like as a production company, is it's light and portable, but it's gives you a lot of flexibility and professional features at the same time. Last but not least, if you look on the bottom of the screen here, it pairs really nicely with this HyperDeck mini recorder that Blackmagic also sells, which allows you to pop in 2 SD cards and just record your program feed. And then on the back, there's like 2 SDI and an HDMI output. Yep. So output it to an encoder or another device. So that's what we're doing. This, actually for our setup today, this is outputting to our Boxcaster Pro through SDI. Yep. And this is a view of the front panel. So if you're like, I just need like an all-in-one solution, I think you should buy these two together. You'll get up to 8 inputs on it, which is just like, you never know. Like you may, if you're a church, you may get to that point.
Yeah, I would say this. We generally have done, 2-3 inputs like our whole kind of like life until more recently. Like this past year, I feel like, we've had things where we're at an event and they're like, hey, can you take this presentation feed, this video feed, and also we want you to add like a wireless camera in the back of the room just so people can see. And we're like, sure. And we have like 6 cameras going. Or no, a better example is we were running 2 different setups off this same switcher.
Oh, yeah.
Which we were like, hey, we had 1 camera plus a PowerPoint in one room, and then we had a whole like 2-3 cameras in another room plus another PowerPoint. So it was like all those just ran back into here, and when Josh was able to switch rooms, he was able to just click a couple buttons to switch over.
Yeah.
But you'll see we're recording right now.
Yeah, and Kevin is actually, this is Kevin's view of his like director table.
Yeah.
But Kevin is actually just clicking the buttons on the front panel. The interface isn't as friendly as the other ones because it's more designed for professionals and they're expecting you to use the software. But you still get some functionality. He can mute, he can switch camera angles on 1 through 8 on the left there. He can do transitions and fades. And then right next to it, he can start and stop record with the HyperDeck Mini. So if you're like, I guess we just cut back to us. If you're like really thinking, I want to buy a video switcher and I want to scale it over time,
this is the move.
This is probably the move because you may end up adding more cameras than you realize. You probably need a recorder, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, it's always...
We never recommend just going straight from the switcher to the encoder or the software. We think it's good to just have a backup local recording. So like actually being able to like record onto an SD card just in case something goes wrong with the live stream,
Or, I mean, perfect example, even if today, if our live stream cut out or, we lost internet in the building, we would still have a local recording of this and we could still like upload it later as like very nice and clean, like nothing happened. But I mean, obviously, with things live like that, you need to always have either recording in the camera or recording on some device. Just have a backup.
Have a backup all the time. And BoxCast has like a broadcast replacement feature. So say your internet, this has happened to us. Say the entire ISP in Northeast Ohio goes out, which happened to us like last year.
This happened to Josh at an event last summer.
Like I was streaming and the internet for all of Northeast Ohio from this specific provider went completely out and I couldn't do anything. I was able to go in and take the local recording and use BoxCast broadcast replacement and re-upload it and have a high quality version of the live stream available using the same link and on the same website page.
Yeah, and if you're like us and you have to like report to someone, in this case it's our client that we're reporting to, or like if it's your boss, at least it's not like, hey, we didn't lose everything. Like we got a recording, I'm gonna upload it right now. Yeah. And they're at least like somewhat comforted, like, hey, we didn't like completely lose this whole.
Yeah. Because the first thing they're gonna ask is, well, do you have a backup? Or do we still have the recording? And you just want to make sure. I mean, you can obviously record on your computer in some ways, or like OBS lets you do it, Zoom lets you do it, but just make sure you are recording in some way. Yeah. Even if you're not using professional hardware.
All right, well, we have a lot of questions.
Lots of questions.
Lots of questions. That's the next slide.
Yeah, I'll let you quew them up.
Let me try to queue some of these up and answer some of them quickly for you guys. You guys are blowing the chat up. I appreciate it so much. Let me try to go back to where they kind of started here. let's see. Give me a second. Someone asked what cameras we were using. So do you want to tell them, like, we kind of addressed it.
Can
but
we show?
We're using like a Pocket 6K camera as the main camera. We're using, oh yeah, we can kind of show it. Hang on. I'll let Josh cue that up.
This is going to get really crazy.
Really meta.
Wade's going to show you
We have like a wireless setup here for Josh to kind of show what's going on here. I'll answer some other questions while he gets that ready. We had someone asking about audio inputs, like how do you do multiple audio inputs? A very quick answer, because that could be like a whole webinar itself, is you probably want to get an audio mixer. So we have an audio mixer over there, which maybe once Josh fires this up too, he can show you like our mics are going into the audio mixer, then into the switcher. So that answers that one.
Can you see this feed?
Let me see here.
You can? Okay.
Yeah,
I'll just give a little tour.
Josh will give a quick little studio tour.
I'll just give a little tour of the studio.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So this is Kevin. Say hi, Kevin. This is the live studio tour. So basically, here's all the equipment we're using today. We're using the Blackmagic ATEM TV Studio with the multi-view monitor right there. The BoxCaster Pro, which you can see is our live streaming encoder. Then we have right over here, this is a little Sony action cam. You could also use a GoPro, but we recommend these. They're in the kit link. This is what we use to show like our action shots. It's a good drum cage camera or like, I don't know.
Behind the scenes, like we put it as like a crowd shot camera.
It's a super wide shot. Yeah. All of our audio mixing is being done through this Yamaha like 8-channel audio mixer, which outputs to the switcher right there. These are our wireless mic receivers. And then right here we're using Blackmagic's Pocket Cinema Camera 6K. They just released these a couple months ago. I don't think we have these in the kit, but we can post a link.
Yeah,
maybe.
We can post a link, sure.
What's really nice about these is they're kind of like a hybrid creative / live streaming camera. So they're really good for like creative and like film production like Wade and I do, but they're also good for live production. And we do both for our clients. We'll do live streaming or we'll do like creative post-produce work. So it's a good hybrid and it lets you attach Canon EF lenses.
Which we have a bunch of Canon lenses as is. So it just worked best for our setup.
So we're using that for that. And then over here, we have a Blackmagic Ursa Mini, which don't look at this camera. I wouldn't recommend this camera. We're kind of sick of it now.
Oh, yeah. Here, Kev, cut back to this guy. So, yeah, Blackmagic Mini Ursa, we probably wouldn't recommend it for the price.
It's not going to future-proof your workflow. It's kind of obsolete now.
Yeah, it works. If you're in a studio and it never has to move and the cables never have to move and you can plug it in, it's great.
And the last thing we're using, you're probably like, what's this thing?
Yeah.
This is also in the kit recommendation too. It's a Hollyland Mars 300 wireless HDMI transmitter receiver set. I call them HDMI radios. That's not the proper term, but that's the best way to explain them. Just shoots a wireless signal up to 300 feet from your camera to like a device like your switcher.
Yeah, so Josh didn't even need to have cables behind him for that. He could just kind of like walk around with it.
Yeah. They're now only $300, which is crazy.
Yeah, which is wild. And we've never really had an issue. Josh has a video on them. We won't get too much. There's a lot of questions.
Yeah, I have a review video on it, but check that out.
Watch it there. Okay, so someone asked about a Canex switcher, which and they were having issues with it cutting. So I want to be very, very clear with this. And working in support here, I see this quite a bit. There's a lot of people. There's a thing out there called like an HDMI switch, which you plug HDMI devices into, and you're able to like click a button, and it switches to that feed. Now this works really, really good for, let's say, you're switching, something on a TV. Hey, I've got my Xbox plugged in, I've got my PlayStation plugged in. I just want to have them plugged into one thing, so I can just click a button and it works. They don't really work that well with live streaming. They're a lot cheaper. I mean, sure, you can get one for like $100. Maybe $70, $40.
Like something like this.
But they exactly like that. Yep.
$12.99.
Let's show that, Kev. So this thing, you think, hey, why would I buy something for $300, $1,000 when I could just get this thing? This thing that switches HDMI. What these things do is they actually disconnect the signal and then re-plug in the next signal. So every time you switch something, you'll get like a blip in your live stream. If you're using BoxCast, you'll get a blue screen. You'll be like blue screen, back to the other feed. Blue screen. So that's why.
So it's a switch, but it's not a switcher.
It's a switch, but not a switcher. Good for again. But it is nice. I'm really happy you brought that up because that would be why it's disconnecting or it's not working correctly. You do need a device that is meant to do this. Kevin, you could switch back to us if you'd like. Okay, so let me keep going here. You guys are, like I said, blowing the chat up. Would a video switcher take place of using OBS for live streaming? That's a great question. Yes, it can. You could essentially, if you're using OBS right now and you have capture cards and stuff like that, you could just take one of these switchers and just get rid of the computer and plug this switcher in and get ready to go. The only reason we personally really like hardware switchers versus like software switchers is with software switchers, your computer is meant to do so much stuff. So if you load OBS or Wirecast or vMix onto it, then for each camera, like Josh said, with that switcher over there, we can plug 8 cameras into it. I don't know if you can plug 8 cameras into a computer. I'm sure you can.
You can,
but
you just have to have a really powerful.
You have to have a really powerful computer, or like just something very simple. Like if you want to plug 2-3 cameras in, you need 2 or 3 capture cards, which is another $100.
Why multiply the amount of capture cards when you could buy one capture card that lets you connect 4 cameras?
Connect 4 cameras, exactly. So it would
replace. There's nothing like we're hardware people because we're video production people, but there's definitely nothing wrong with buying multiple capture cards.
No, I don't think so either, too.
I think it's great if you only need even like 2 inputs.
Right.
Go for it.
Yep.
It's just like that's just our personal preference.
Someone asked.
Answer like a couple.
Yeah, let's answer like 2 or 3 more. Yeah.
And then we probably should
keep going.
Get on, and then we'll get to we'll answer the rest of them at the end.
And sorry for that, guys. We're just scanning through. Let me just check Facebook too to make sure we got nothing going on there.
Wah, wah.
All right. I know you guys have asked a lot of questions. If I know I've definitely missed some, just feel free to email us, like josh.clem. We'll pull that information up at the end too, like our emails again. Feel free to email us and we'd be happy to answer.
Just type it in the chat.
Because I'll type that in the chat and then we'll keep moving on.
We'll get to it in the end. So the next thing we're going to talk about is camera angles and which camera angles are right to use in certain scenarios, and which ones just to give you like a visual of your options, especially when you buy like a 4-input switcher. You're probably like, all right, well, let's get 4 cameras, and where do we put them? We're just going to show you a couple different things that we like to do. So the first one is a standard wide shot. I think in every multicam workflow, you should have a wide shot set up for a couple reasons. One, it just sets the stage for where you're at. So like in this graduation here, you can see like this is what the whole stage looks like. And then maybe you can go even a little wider and include people in your crowd. If there is a crowd, right now there's probably not a crowd, but you can include those people as well. It's also just a nice safety shot to cut to while your camera operators are panning, or if you have a close-up of somebody on stage and they walk out of frame, just nice as a video director to have that ready to pull the trigger on that wide shot. It's all about setting the stage there too. Next one is like a nice medium shot. So this is where you want to show like the full length of your speaker, or a close-up of what the action is happening. You may want to leave a little room because they're walking around a lot. We usually use these mostly for sports and like graduations, but it's nice to include something like this as well. And if your camera has good zoom range, you can make it look like you have like more cameras than you actually do just by zooming in and out to different spots. Next one is another wide shot. This is something we did for a wedding last 2 weekends ago.
It was like May 30th, I think.
Yeah. We did this for a wedding. I think wide shots, again, are just really good for setting the stage. If you have a beautiful background, like we were at a beautiful church streaming this, it's just worth showing. Now, I will say, because there's not a lot of people in the crowd here, your clients or your boss, you may not want to show this, but the church was too beautiful not to show. But if this was like a business conference, where we've like live produced business conferences before, and there's like everyone's sitting in the back and there's 2 people sitting in the front, you may not want to show it just because it looks dead and it's uninteresting.
Even a great example here with this church, they had a balcony and we could have put our camera up there, but you would have seen like 30 rows of emptiness and then a couple people spread out. So we just moved the camera up a little bit. And I don't know if you mentioned it, sorry, I was replying to some chat things. Your wide shot is always a good safe shot. You need okay, you said that. You need a safe shot just to be sure if something goes wrong, you switch to that.
Yeah. So this for us was like a nice happy medium where like there were some people, the church was really attractive and we could show what was going on and we could cut to it while the bride and groom were like moving around and the priest was like doing different things that we needed to readjust camera settings for. Just always good to have a wide shot. Another example of a medium shot where you don't want to get too close to what's going on, but But if it's too far away at the same time, like it won't feel as immersive for your viewers. So, I mean, the art of video directing really simply comes down to like, what should the viewers see? And so in this case, it's like he's putting a ring on her finger. Let's just frame it up. This is the only thing we should be focusing on here. So another example of a nice medium shot. And that's the only essential thing. A wide shot here, like say the bride's grandma was watching this and she really needed to see this moment. It's really important to have good zoom on your cameras because like this is way more immersive. If we were cutting to the wide and that was happening,
you wouldn't even be able
just
to
wouldn't
really
feel
see.
like you're there.
Yeah.
And this is where it's also your job as like a video director to make the experience almost better if someone was there in person.
Right.
Close shot right here.
Yeah, it's like a close-ish medium shot.
Yeah. This is a shot of our buddy Alex. If a speaker is just, usually I use these for when the speaker is saying something pretty passionate or they're just giving a lecture and you don't need to show anything else. This is pretty basic. The one thing I'll say about this is leave enough room for them to walk around. So don't get too close. Like don't frame like from here to here because if he steps that way, then he's going to get cut out of frame. So I like to leave a little bit of room. You don't need to be like, you don't need to do extreme close-ups like they do in the movies just because it's a little too much for a lot of live streaming applications. But this is important to have too because again, it brings your viewers closer to the subject. The next one is the crowd shot. So if you do like, in a future state where we have probably crowds again and people are attending, I like to set these up to show the crowd's reactions. You may not have a camera operator like in professional TV to actually set up an angle where you can get close-ups and like they do at the Grammys where they have camera operators specifically focus on celebrities. But this is good to cut to one, show the scene just like a wide shot, but two, if these people are laughing in the middle of it, maybe it's like good to like be like, oh, this is how the crowd is reacting to that specific thing. And it's kind of just a cool, a little bit more artistic angle too, to show more interesting views than just...
And sometimes too, if you're all the way like in the back, I mean, for this particular event, this wasn't the case, but a lot of the times what we do is if we're all the way in the back of the room, we'll use those HDMI wireless transmitters for this shot. So and it's kind of like a bonus shot, we always like to call it. Like if it works out good and it looks good, awesome. Like run the shot a couple times. If it like the HDMI wireless transmitters like crap out on us and don't work, we don't need to have this shot to make people happy.
Exactly.
Like, people will still see what's going on with the other cameras.
And it's fine. But this is one we like to cut to. If we don't have a third camera operator, but we have an extra camera, we always set this one up.
Yep.
Same example here. We did for another business conference at a local college. In this particular moment, like there are some people like laughing. He's telling a joke. Just good to like, as he's delivering the joke or making people laugh, it's good to have that available because it also like, when you're watching live TV, kind of makes you feel like you're part of the experience, when you see how other people are reacting to. So these are a couple recommendations if you don't have a crowd. This is a church customer of ours that we love what they did. Like once everything went down with COVID-19, they were able to make all their camera angles a little bit more like live stream audience friendly. So just by placing your camera on stage, you can avoid any like empty crowd views and it'll make your live stream more immersive because like in this particular scenario, it's almost like you're on the stage with the worship team or the performers, So I think that's just like, that's probably a better option than showing like empty seats, in my opinion. And then secondly, this is just a really good one that they did with their pastor. If you don't have a crowd and he doesn't have someone to specifically address, just address the camera, at least even in the first couple minutes of the live stream. Look at the camera and address your audience, and that'll make them feel like you're connecting with them more than if you're just kind of like talking in different directions. So we try to do that even in our own webinars. We try to make sure we're looking at the camera instead of like staring at our laptops the whole time. Eye contact like that, especially this day and age when it's even harder to stay connected, is just really important, and it's one of those little subtle things you don't always see, but it can make your live streams way more immersive. So I think, what's the next slide? Oh, headroom and lead room. Just a safety rule. We won't go into the rule of thirds because this is for beginners mostly, but if you're thinking like, whoa, how do I frame my shot? Two simple things you can follow are headroom and lead room. Headroom is just giving space enough comfortable space between your head and the top of the frame, so that that it looks comfortable. And then lead room is, for like in this example here, giving lead room allows you to give space to the direction in which the subject is pointing. So if the frame cut off here, I guess you can just show examples.
Yeah, I was going to show examples. So like, let's just say it's kind of hard because I'm hand holding this, but this is probably like decent-ish headroom,
It's
lead room
comfortable,
for
right?
Josh. But if I had the camera like this, you guys would be like, why are we seeing
Yeah.
so much brick?
And here's
You know?
why, because if you were talking to me in real life and I was addressing you, zoom out. You probably wouldn't be looking all over the room. You'd probably want to be like looking at me addressing you. So I think that's where like headroom is really important.
Right.
And also, if I go like this and there's too much headroom, it may give a false reading on like how tall I am. It may not give you the perspective of, I don't know, it may make me look short or
Well,
anything
and
like
it's
that.
also like if Josh talks to Kevin, this is more lead room on the next slide. If Josh was talking to Kevin, you're not going to want your camera positioned like this.
Yeah,
it's
because it
gonna-
looks like I'm kind of talking to a wall.
like talking to a wall or outside. You kind of want it to be more like this, like he's talking to the subject. So, sorry, I figured I'd pick the camera up and show him.
Boom.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
These are very dramatic examples, like, oh, hey.
Yeah, that's
like
bad headroom.
That's
It's
bad,
not
but
even contextually-
I do see a lot of streams a lot of time that are like even, like, let's just say they're like this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And people think that's okay, you know? Or like even if you're using a webcam for Zoom, like just try to get yourself
But
kind
it
of
just
right in the
makes
center.
it so much better.
It makes it so much
And
better.
I'll give an example of like when Wade and I started in video.
Yeah.
The reason this is important too is because sometimes you see something in the background and you want to be creative and include it.
Yes.
So like say there was like a logo.
I did this once, yes.
A logo, yeah. I'm not calling you out, but say there's like a big logo,
Like a big logo
and you're
here.
like, oh, it'd be really creative to show me in the corner and then the logo next to it.
Yeah.
It may not actually look that good.
Yeah, like
it may
we-
just not be framed comfortably.
I've done this before where like there's like a cool sign in the back, but this is the person talking and this
Yeah.
is the shot, and that doesn't look good. I mean, if you want to do that, scoot the person out a little bit
Yeah.
and get them over here,
Reposition
them so that it's
Move
just
your environment
so
a
it's
little
in the
bit.
back like this.
Even when
Okay.
we did
You can
this
switch off this,
graduation
Kev.
example, I think we had some bad framing where we saw some flowers like 50 feet away from the dude and not even close to him. And we were like, but those look good, but it just was framed bad.
Right.
So something to think about. The most important things are headroom and lead room if you're trying to like think, is my shot comfortable? Here's another example, like in sports. This is just a photo. We're not Yankees fans because we're from Cleveland, but it was a good example. Lead room, like you can imagine if he was throwing the ball, but the frame cut off here, you feel like as a viewer you might be missing out on what's about to happen. So it's also good to just like even tell your camera operators that, like keep in mind the direction they're going to head in or where the spacing is in the frame. So that's headroom and lead room. And now we're going to talk about some tips for directing live video. The reason I include this GIF of Shaq, one, because I love the NBA, but two, because this is me whenever I'm directing certain things that get really exciting. Like you can see he's like forgetting about what's happening and he's like, oh my gosh. So sometimes it's important to remember tip number one, like focus on the multi-view screen or focus on what the viewer is experiencing and make sure that you're giving them the angle that they need to see in that moment.
Yeah.
Instead of like what you want to watch.
Yeah.
That happened when we started streaming MMA, and I would so badly want to just like watch the fights because I was getting so excited, and then I would forget to cut to a certain shot, or I would forget to go to a graphic or anything like that. So don't forget that your job as a director is to provide a viewer experience and not just
Not just an experience for yourself.
yeah. And so sometimes I'm such a distractible person, I'll even like take the monitor and hide the view of what's going on or turn this way as a director if the action's happening over there. So sometimes I'll do that just to be really focused on what shot needs to be queued up next. Maybe you want to run through the next tips?
Yeah, let me get you some quick tips. So the first tip we find is find a good comp system or find a good way to communicate too. I think that's just one thing. A lot of times, and also the Shaq gift gets me here, quick nap. I feel like that's what Josh is doing sometimes when I'm running a camera and he doesn't switch to it. So find a good comp system or find a good way to communicate. When me and Josh first started, we did not have, I would be on one side of the room, he would be in the back of the room, and I had no idea if he was on my shot. So like I didn't know when I could move or switch or anything like that. We ended up picking a comp system up that was like $750, which is a lot of money. It seems like a lot of money, and it sucked. It was awful. So we recommend if you're going to buy a communication system, buy something really good. Here's the one we kind of recommend. We haven't had a chance to use it,
We've heard really good things.
but we've heard really good things, and from our experience with our other Hollyland device, I feel like it'll be really good, and it's wireless. Right now, we have one that's like all wired, and it works, but you have to. That's another cable you have to run.
Yeah.
So hey, I'm 200 feet away. That's another 200-foot cable I have to run all the way to me. So
if you're in a situation with, I would say if you're in a situation with multiple camera operators, you have to have a comm system.
Yeah.
If you're just doing static cameras like we're doing today, and one person is just cutting between a bunch of static cams, you're probably okay with that.
Yeah. Or the other thing we sometimes do too is we'll set up like a program monitor by me. So Josh will, like when we streamed that wedding, Josh basically, we ran another like cable to me and just set up a little monitor so I could see what Josh was switching to.
Oh yeah.
And then I can see like when he's on me, when he's off me and stuff like that. And we've worked together so long that we know kind of like our cues. Like I'll give Josh a shot.
You get a feel for it.
And
he knows when to
stop
move
moving
and
and stop. And if Josh doesn't take my shot in like the first 3 or 4 seconds, I just go back to something else. Or he'll take it and I won't move.
Yeah.
So, either good comm system or give your camera operators a monitor or some way they know like here is what's live right now.
Yeah, right.
Okay, back to the tips here. Do a dry run before you're going live. So even with these webinars, we actually set this all up on Friday, but then yesterday, we came in here, we made sure all the stuff was working, we kind of went through the slides and stuff like that. We even did it like before, at like 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
We were just like, hey, let's make sure everything's working again. Are we getting audio? You don't want to just be like,
you want to work out all the kinks.
Work out all the kinks and do a test stream if you have the ability to do. I mean, if whatever you're doing, just do a test stream. Call it test, even if you're going publicly on a Facebook page. Just call it a test stream, and people will know, like, hey, they're testing out, making sure it's working and stuff. And it probably gives them a little more reinsurance. Like, they actually care. They're like testing,
Yeah.
Okay. Review your notes with your camera operators. So this goes to, I think this and step 5 or quick tip 5 are kind of similar. A lot of bigger events have a schedule. So they'll give you like hey, here's a kind of rough schedule of what's going on. First, it's this person coming up to talk. Then it's this person. Then we're going to give this award. And then we're going to do this. So go over that with your camera people or print them out that schedule so they know what to expect and when to expect it. Even if it's as simple as, hey, this presenter is 8 to 9, this guy's 9:15 to 10:15. Like, so they know, okay, this is going to end at 9 o'clock. Hey, Josh, I got to go to the bathroom. I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick because I got 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Sounds silly, but a lot of people just, oh, you got it. You know what to do. And then one of the next things too is understanding camera basics. So especially if you have someone who's like a volunteer or someone who's new to streaming, it's sometimes where you want to just have them understand what is going on with the camera. Like Kevin helps us a lot with a lot of stuff, and we've taught him just those camera basics. Hey, Kevin, can you raise the the lighting up or the iris exposure, lighting. Basically, can you make it a little brighter? Can you make it a little darker? Hey, Kevin, it seems like your shot's a little warm. Do you mind making it a little colder? He can go into the camera and he has the basic gist of like, here's how I do stuff. Josh can see it and tell him over the communication system or some way, hey, here's what you got to do. Or that looks good, Kevin, keep going. Another thing here with understanding camera basics, if you don't have time to like teach someone that, which is understandable, like sometimes it might just be, hey, this person got sick and now I'm bringing my son with me who's 15. He doesn't know what to do. He's never done this. Have someone, if you can, who's like a floater. That's generally my job when we go on like, job sites and everything like that, is I'll float around the scene. Kevin will be on camera, Josh will be switching. Maybe we have someone else doing camera, but I'm just there to fix things if they go wrong. So like if camera, battery dies, well, I'll go run Kevin another battery. If Kevin's camera, doesn't look perfect, doesn't look good or something, he's like, can't figure out the settings, I'll go in and try to get his settings all set up and all that stuff. So either just teach them the basics or have a meeting with them beforehand. Hey, here's how you use the camera. And that should be really, really helpful.
Go a long way.
Yeah. Think about what your audience should see. Obviously, like Josh was saying, that's pretty key. Like, it's nice.
Yeah.
You want to know, hey, if I was watching this, what would I want to see? I'd want to see them handing the award off. I wouldn't want to see like someone in the crowd, like, smiling because they're getting the award. It's like, no, I want to see my son get the award,
Yeah.
So that's another thing. Match color and exposure from other camera settings. We could do like literally a whole webinar on what cameras to like pick, and I know we kind of touch on it a little bit, but we recommend using, if not the same cameras for it, similar brands,
the same brand,
yeah,
like similar lenses.
Pick a brand and go. Like
and stick with it.
Stick with it. Don't get like
or find cameras that have similar color settings from different brands, but you can get them to match up. Like we used the Sony and the Blackmagic today because they're closer in those senses. But just make sure you don't have one camera where the blues look really different on one camera than they do
if
another.
you currently have a camera, like let's just say you currently have like a Panasonic camera, it would be tricky if you were like, we're gonna buy this newer, nice Canon camera. It would probably be tricky to get them to match. It's one of those things where it's like, just buy the next level up Panasonic or sell the Panasonic and buy 2 Canons or vice versa. And with video switching too, we didn't get into it too much, but you want to make sure that they all have the same video resolution and you can hook them up and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So you're not like one's 720, one's 1080.
Exactly. And then the last one we forgot to do.
We talked about it.
We didn't actually do today, but have a standby graphic ready to roll to put up on your switcher. Like all switchers now will allow you to put up some kind of like simple graphic. Have it ready to just display in case anything goes wrong during this live stream. Yeah. If something were to happen right now, like really crazy, like an earthquake happened.
Or if Kevin, like let's say we lost audio and Kevin needed to tell us somehow, like he couldn't throw just a graphic up that would like ensure that we know what's going on.
Yeah.
To give you some like just 2 examples I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah.
We were streaming a graduation ceremony and someone fainted in the crowd.
Oh yeah.
And so someone fainted in the crowd. You could see everyone up on the stage kind of looking at the person.
Jeez.
And we're live streaming, but we didn't have something to cut to that was just like
just with simple messaging
just simple messages
says, hey,
like,
we'll be right back.
We'll be right back. The graduation's being paused.
We don't have that today. We could cut to something like this, Kevin.
Yeah.
Like if something went wrong, we could just cut to this. But I feel like you need graphic messaging.
But you need something that's like technical issues. We'll be right back. Yeah. And we just did another presentation.
You just never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, we did another presentation where we had some PowerPoint slide issues, and it's like we should have just had like hey, we're having technical issues. We'll be right back. And then that gives you 5 minutes to maybe figure it out instead of just being like what's wrong, Kevin? And everyone sees me like freaking out, like, let me get up. It's like you cut to it, it looks cleaner, it looks good. We're almost done.
Those are our
tips. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for bearing with.
I know
there's a lot of slides.
Yeah, there's a lot of slides. We're very talkative, so we get into it.
We get excited.
Yeah.
Let's talk about my next favorite topic. I'll blaze through this, but inevitably, when you start adding more cameras and more devices, cabling and converting is it's gonna become a part of your life, and it's important to understand the difference between different types of cables before you get started and you buy the wrong stuff. The first thing we all know, we'll start with the very basic, is standard HDMI. This is an HDMI to HDMI cable. It's probably something you all have in your house. It's very basic, pretty universal across most devices. Larger video cameras will use them, and they will run anywhere from like 50 to 100 feet. So that's and when I say like HDMI to HDMI, I mean these connectors. This is a standard size HDMI to standard size HDMI cable. So when you're looking for a camera, see what type of output size it actually has. The next one is mini HDMI. You'll see here, it's the same exact thing. You don't lose quality and you don't lose reliability, but the smaller this connector gets, usually the shorter options you'll have for the cable. And the connectors are a little more flimsy, so it's something to keep in mind too. Like these kind of get broken really easily sometimes, or if you pull it the wrong way, it can kind of be a bummer. But you'll usually find this on smaller video cameras. It's a lot of the cameras we actually recommend on the kit site will have mini HDMI outputs on them. So it's just something to be aware of, because for the most part, I think you can only find cabling with mini HDMI to HDMI connectors on them that go up to about 25 feet. If that's the case, you can always buy adapters and stuff like that. But I prefer to just have the full size because you usually get more length and you can find more purchasing options. The next one, the last one on the HDMI, I know it's like, you'd think they just have one, but it's because they designed these cameras, the smaller cameras need the smaller connectors. But the last one, micro HDMI, I think you can only get these cables up to 15 feet, right, Wade?
I would only recommend up to 15 feet.
Yeah. These are really flimsy, so you have to be careful, like with that action cam we showed you earlier. You just have to be careful with how it's like connected and locked in. You're really only going to find this on action cameras and maybe a couple other devices, but it's important to note not to buy like a full-size HDMI cable. The next thing, which you may have heard of or may not have, is SDI. and SDI video cables, they're like professional video cables that are designed just for video, whereas HDMI is kind of designed for monitors and computers and other things like that. SDI is really designed for video production workflows. People like them because they have these locking connectors and they run longer, and it's usually utilized with professional AV gear. The reason we include this, I know it's a beginner level introduction, but the reason we include this is if you're like, well, you know, we want to have like 8 cameras and we want to run them, like we want to run the signals like from all over our, you know, our arena or church or anything like that. You may just want to like consider an SDI system if you're going to be going long range.
Right. Yeah, there's ways to run or I don't know if you said, sorry, I'm responding to chat while Josh is like doing these slides. Not texting my mom yet. So if you want to run HDMI really long length, you could do it over Ethernet. There are ways to do that, but we just recommend SDI most of the time for these reasons you're kind of seeing on the screen.
Yeah.
300-foot cable length. I actually saw a video from B&H today where they said 980-foot cable length.
Jeez, those are expensive though.
Those are probably really expensive, so I'm going to stick to the 300 cable length. It has locking connectors, which Josh has actually a really great video that's HDMI versus SDI. I'd recommend go watching it, but the locking connectors just ensure that it doesn't fall out of the camera.
Or if somebody kicks the cable or pulls it on accident.
It's much less flimsy than HDMI sometimes can be like half in, half out.
Yeah.
This is my personal opinion. I think it's more reliable. I rarely have issues with SDI when I have more and more issues with HDMI, and I think it's just more commonly used. You know, you could get an HDMI cable from some random product you bought, and then you somehow it gets in your video bag. Then you somehow start using it, and all of a sudden it's like, why does that HDMI cable not work? And you're like, well, you bought a $20 Roku, and then you got an HDMI cable with it. What do you expect?
Yeah, it may not be as good.
Not dogging HDMI
but they do, like, we have a 75-foot cable we've used and we like. They can go up to 100 feet, I know. The cables start to get a little bit more expensive. But if you really don't need like professional workflow stuff, HDMI is great. It used to be that they would only run up to like 50 feet, but now you can find longer cables even. And the other advantage obviously is it's just more common. And you're going to be able to, like, it's going to be more versatile if you buy one HDMI cable, you use it for a lot of different things.
And if you walk into, like, a building, one big benefit of HDMI, obviously, is, like, if you walk into, like, your venue and you're trying to stream something, I mean, it's like, hey, like, oh, I forgot an HDMI cable. It's like, they probably have one, like, hooked up to a monitor somewhere or hooked into some TV, and you're like, hey, I just need to borrow this from the DVD player for, like, 2 hours, and I'll give it back to you. Like, they're not going to have, like, oh, that SDI cable? Like, I just got a couple of those in the closet. Like, they aren't going to have those.
Yeah.
So
our last piece of advice for you today is when you go to buy new cameras for your live multicam live streaming workflow setup, whatever, make sure your camera that you're choosing has a clean HDMI output. You can see in this example here, this is an example from one of our DSLRs. It's a Canon 6D Mark II.
Yeah, 6D Mark II.
It's a $1,200 camera, but this is like what you're going to get out of it.
Looks like this.
So
I mean, your standard
DSLRs are really good because they give you photo and video capability. They have larger sensors and they let you do creative work. But just make sure if you're buying something like that, most of the mirrorless ones now will give you clean HDMI out, but just double check to make sure if you're using it for live streaming specific purposes, like just make sure. And it can't hurt.
And the easiest way to make sure is, like, let's say we have a lot of people who reach out to us who are like, I have this Nikon or Canon or I have this camera.
Yeah.
Can I use it for live streaming? It's like, not, does it have a clean HDMI out? That information is kind of hard to find sometimes. Just take it and plug it into a TV. If you plug it into a TV and you're getting this feed that you're seeing now, or if you're getting this feed here,
then it's dirty.
It probably doesn't have a clean HDMI.
I don't know if that's the proper term, but it's a dirty HDMI.
Check your settings.
Bad.
Certainly check your settings.
It's been a bad HDMI
and make sure
cable.
It's good. Josh is losing it here. He needs more coffee. But again, just make sure that you have a clean HDMI out. A lot of people will like for us, we have like a Canon EOS R that has a clean HDMI out. We also have this 6D Mark II. And if we were new and we saw this presentation, and you guys didn't tell, and we didn't tell you this, we'd be like, sweet, we can buy a Roland and we can plug both those things in and it will work. And that is not true. Yeah. So just make sure. Big last tip.
Very important though. So that's the end of most of our presentation.
Yeah.
The one thing we do want to remind you is if you are not currently streaming with BoxCast by chance, we have a free 14-day trial. There's no credit card required. You can go live instantly from your phone or from any other encoder or device like that. Start streaming right away. There's a link in the description to sign up for one. There's literally no obligation. It's really easy to sign up, and if you decide you don't like it, you don't have to use it anymore. But what we give you the ability to do at BoxCast is embed your live streams on your website, stream to an unlimited amount of social destinations. So that's like Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Periscope, an unlimited number of them too. So you could go to multiple Facebook pages, multiple Facebook groups, multiple YouTube groups. We give you an unlimited number of viewership. Our streaming technology is really good. You can check out more of our resources on why our quality just tends to be a little bit better. Just check it out, see if you like it. It's cool. Any other thoughts on that?
Sorry, I'm reading chat. I'm getting ready for questions.
We're underselling it for sure, but there's a link in the description if you want to get a feel for more of our features and functionality.
Yeah, and well, the one thing I'll say too, I don't know if you said it, I work on the customer support team here at BoxCast. We're available from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. That's every single day of the week, East Coast time, via email or via like a phone call. So if you sign up with BoxCast, or even if you're in that free trial process and you have issues, you can actually call someone and we will help you. Or you can actually schedule a time with a support member. Mm-hmm. Like right before this meeting, I had a call that was from 9:30 to 10. And it was 30 minutes. I helped her with some BoxCast features and some things with her website and stuff. But it's really, really nice, and it's a really, really like underrated feature of us where you can actually get someone on the phone to talk to them.
Yeah.
It's like, because like, I mean, again, if you go to just Facebook, that's fine. The moment you have an issue with just going to Facebook, you can't call Facebook.
Yeah, you don't have anybody.
You can't like
to help
book a time with a Facebook live streaming specialist.
Yeah.
So definitely check BoxCast out. Sign up for a free trial.
And if you're interested, like what pairs very nicely with the A10 Mini is our Boxcaster.
Yep.
This is a quick explanation of how it works. You just plug in power, Ethernet, and video, and you're ready to go live. This is it right here. It's very tiny. It's a nice little encoder. It uses our own like special streaming sauce, like I like to call it. It's called BoxCast Flow, and it does a way better job of streaming to the internet, especially if you have like unstable network conditions. So it's a very reliable piece of hardware. And so if you're taking live streaming seriously, it's definitely something to look into. And that's it. We really want to thank you for the time and attention. Of course, if you want to learn more, we're constantly like trying to add new content just to help educate people on live streaming.
Sure.
We're always getting better ourselves, and we're always trying to teach other people what that's about. So subscribe to our channel if you want to learn more. And that's it. I think we'll go to take a few questions.
We got a decent amount of them. There's
lots.
So much chat. You guys have been amazing. This is the most chat I've ever seen in a webinar. I just asked you guys if there was more questions. I'm going to try to address some of them here. The one thing we should start with, there was 2 people that had actually confusion about the clean HDMI.
Oh, really?
It's so. Maybe we could just explain it one more time, but in a nice
what it basically means.
What it does, like how it affects a camera, or like how does the camera get to this point?
Essentially, the technical explanation is
I'm gonna try to find a way to plug something in for you.
A clean HDMI output will send a full, uninterrupted, no icon video feed to any device. A non-clean HDMI signal will send something like this. The camera's not actually sending
a full signal,
like a 1920 by 1080 image. It's sending like a preview image, which isn't really suitable for your viewers. So if you were watching Wade talking on camera and you saw all this stuff, it'd be really distracting. A clean HDMI, Kevin, if you cut to me, clean HDMI just means like there's no camera
no border
is sending
or
an uncompressed video signal that has no addedness to it.
All right, Kev, did this pick up? Hang on, let's see. Let me get off the.
But it's just really important. Like some really inexpensive video cameras won't do it. Video camcorders.
Yeah, here, Josh.
All the ones we recommend on the kit page will have clean HDMI output. This is an example of a not clean HDMI. We love this camera. We use it to shoot weddings, but we can never live stream with it because it doesn't give us the ability. It just does it shows you what you see on the camera's LCD.
And also with this
camera,
there's
no way to remove all of these icons.
The other problem is some cameras actually shut the LCD screen off when you plug them in. Oh, sorry, I forgot I was on there.
That's true.
So like
the image looks good.
This camera shuts the LCD screen off, so I can't even see what I'm pointing at on there. I'm just looking at a monitor that we have over here to see what I'm seeing. Oh, geez, we won't do that. But this is clean HDMI out. You can't fix this with this camera. So as Josh said, if you go back to the main shot, Kevin, that's a clean HDMI out.
Ta-da.
So hopefully that helped. It's really hard to say, like, hey, this
Just Google it.
You just Google if your camera has a
Or
clean
test
HDMI
it.
out, or test it on just by plugging into a monitor or something. Okay, that's a very important. And someone else,
I'm
Todd,
amazed you were able to show that
yeah,
live. That's
I know, I
pretty-
got it. Yeah, Todd Newman, thank you so much. You've been very active in the chat, and he brought up a very important point that we kind of just like glossed over. But as he said in the chat, it took him like 18 hours of research to actually figure this out. For video switching, the reason we recommend having like the same cameras or very similar cameras is all the cameras need to be the same video resolution when you plug them into a switcher most times. Some switchers have something called a scaler. So
like
they'll
built-in
actually
scaling?
So let's say you're sending like a 1080p signal, or there's like 1080p and 1080i. There's like two different types of signals. So some switchers, like if you send it a 1080i signal, but your other camera's 1080p, it will like automatically take the 1080i signal and switch it to 1080p.
Yeah.
Now-
or your camera might be sending 4K. If
Or-
you're buying a newer camera, it might
Exactly.
be set to output 4K,
4K,
but your
yeah.
switcher may not be able to input 4K.
Right.
So that's important to know, like, what can the camera output? It's really hard to find that sometimes, but it's
It
just
is.
important. Like, you're gonna give the best viewing experience, and it's gonna make your life easier if all your cameras can output the same frame rate and resolution.
Right. So
Now, something like the A10 Mini, it's supposed to have built-in scaling. Same thing with this. I've
like-
seen mixed results with that.
yeah, but with like the mixer or the switcher we have over there, which sorry Kevin, I unplugged your camera. It does not have any scalers on it. So like if we were to plug in something that was like 720p, like a camera that did that's why we really like that action camera we use over there, because some older GoPros send like 1080p 30, versus we always run everything at 1080p 60. So if we were to plug that GoPro in, you would get no image. And that's what he means. That's what, if you guys were seeing that in the chat, that's what that means. You need to have cameras that all can send the same signal to make the switchers work, or they won't. Sorry, we're getting a little off topic, but I feel like those two things are like super important that you just don't learn until it happens to you, and it sucks when
Right.
it happens to you. Someone's asking, David Simon, I think you're talking about BoxCast. Is it cloud-based? I'll answer this kind of quickly. BoxCast offers hardware, so we have like our BoxCaster. We also offer a BoxCaster dashboard. So where you can go in, you can schedule events, you can say, hey, I want this event to go to Facebook. I don't know if Josh maybe wants
pull
to.
it up.
Josh will pull the dashboard up, where that's where you kind of manage everything. So it's really, really nice. It gives you a bunch of features. Like we have anything from like graphic overlays in the cloud.
Yeah.
We have.
I'll give a quick tour
Yeah,
here.
here. Hit them with the.
This is like the webinar we're running right
now. Yeah.
This is cloud-based, so you get like a login and a password, just like any other
And it
software
saves
you
it
use
saves your
online.
broadcast after
It
the
saves
fact.
them.
can see
You can look at
diagnostics.
diagnostics. So we have really good internet here, so we're not going to get any reports. But if something goes wrong, it will let you know.
Yeah.
You can see like viewer analytics, because we're not going.
We're not going to a website, so we don't have.
Yeah, we're just
viewer
going to
analytics
Facebook and
like,
YouTube.
Yeah, right. So those aren't tied into the dashboard, but
You can add overlays in the cloud, which is really sweet. So you can add like a picture of my dog, or just a simple logo in the bottom right-hand corner, and those will apply to the live stream. And then this is just a nice. It's kind of like, I like to call it a command center for live streaming. But you can see here, like, we can check our YouTube feed, and we can make sure our simulcast to YouTube is working. We have our Facebook. We can link out to the Facebook watch page if we wanted to. We can, like, this is greenlit, so this is the device we're using to stream. Everything checks out there. We could do like a simulated live if we wanted to rebroadcast this later, or record it ahead of time and stream it live later. Then we could do that. And then obviously on the left here, it's like we could. This is like a whole separate webinar,
Yeah, right.
but there's just so many awesome
maybe
features.
click on like
but,
dashboard, Josh, real quick.
yeah,
So this
but
is
I
kind of like your home page, and then if you click on past events, this is where all our past events are.
yeah.
So you'll
This
see,
is like a pizza eating contest we had a few months ago.
Yeah.
These, but this is like we do our own webinars using our own product. But yeah, I mean the best way to describe it is it's a live streaming command center. And
Yeah.
it's really good for people that want to take live streaming seriously.
All right, next question we got, because we'll try to get to as many as possible. So, is someone asked, how does an audio mixer hook up to a video switcher? So here, Kev, if you switch to me, there we go, cool. So this is our audio mixer. Right now, we kind of have, this is our audio receiver for our microphones. So we have that plugged into the mixer. And then that actually, these are the outputs. And for us, they output right, let's see. They output right, oh, come on, camera, you can do it. Well, it's right there. Our camera doesn't want to get in focus. Sorry about that.
Because it's too close.
Yeah.
Pull back and then zoom in.
Yeah. Okay, so they input right there. So we just output our signal from here to there. Now with the other switchers that we recommended, Here, Kev, you could probably cut back to Josh. You'll see that these will take in audio via RCA. So this one's RCA, and that one's 3.5 millimeter. So your standard headphone jack. So whatever your audio mixer has, you probably have either RCA or XLR or quarter-inch out. You would just have to convert it to one of these or plug directly into one of these.
And you can search. They sell adapters too if you want to buy a cheaper like switcher that doesn't have the professional ones, but you have like XLR from your mixer. You can search like XLR to RCA cable. I won't officially recommend it because I think some of our tech team is like, that's not the right way to do it. But
Tony, if you're listening,
if they sell the cable, if they sell the cable, it should work.
No, I would not go off that philosophy.
That's not an official recommendation. That's a kind of recommendation. But just search XLR to RCA adapter or XLR to RCA
there's actually
cable.
Converter boxes out there that will do it, and they'll do it the right way.
Yeah.
If you don't have a lot of money and you don't have it in the budget, then buy the $10 cable. And if it works, awesome.
Again,
if it doesn't work, then it's probably that cable.
That's an unofficial recommendation.
Yeah. So then the other stuff I'm seeing, will the BoxCasters work with the new A10 Mini Pro? Yes, it will, out of the HDMI out. Or you could do RTMP with the A10 Mini Pro. We have a support document on that. I'll try and chat it in here in a second. I spoke about backup recording. I'm just going to go through these real quick. Will BoxCast have a backup recording even if we haven't gone live? So you could actually go and do like a private broadcast on BoxCast, and it will create a recording. So hopefully that kind of answers your question. Like you could stream something on, let's say, a Friday night, because that works better for everyone, and then make it go live on Sunday or Monday or whatever day works for you. Like I said, I'm just trying to fly through these questions, guys. You guys have been incredible. Okay, here's a good one too. I'm live streaming from a PC, and I want to be able to stream to multiple platforms. I'm assuming you mean like Facebook, YouTube, maybe Twitter, your website. What devices or setup do I need to get started? So that's something where you would want to try probably the BoxCast free trial. Like BoxCast gives you the ability to go to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Apple TV, Roku, Fire TV, your website, all at the same time. So you just send us one feed, and then we take care of the rest in the cloud. Like today, we're going to YouTube. We're also going to Facebook. But yeah, you probably would want something like BoxCast. Now, I know some streaming softwares allow you to go to multiple destinations. So maybe you want to go to like, I know with like vMix for sure, it lets you go to 3 destinations. The only issue is it's 3 separate streams. So if you have 5 megabits dedicated to one stream, you're now going to need 5 dedicated to another stream. You're now going to need 5 dedicated to the next. You'll need, a total of 15 megabits upload, a lot more probably, to stream that, and your computer's going to need to be able to stream 3 things. If with BoxCast, again, you just have one 5 megabit stream, you send it to us, and we take care of the rest. Now, that's if you're using software. If you're using the BoxCaster, that handles the network and does everything for you. Hopefully that answered it. I know we're trying to rush through. We've taken up a lot of your guys' time today. We're already like an hour.
I'm just going to answer these ones.
He's answering some in the chat.
You answer them in person.
Yep, cool. So Josh is taking some.
Somebody asked about they have Canon lenses. Use the Canon EOS R. We use it to stream, but note that there's no like, if you're doing it for really long events, if you're doing it for like stuff that's less than an hour, it's good. But otherwise, be careful.
Yeah, someone asked if we had pointers about using Switcher Studio with BoxCast. So you can certainly use Switcher Studio. For those of you who don't know what Switcher Studio is, it is a iPhone. It's like iPhone and iPads only. So you could set up like a bunch of iPhones and iPads and actually switch between them, I believe, on an iPad. You can send that directly to BoxCast, and it does work. It is a really, really nice really nice solution. I think it is like $250 or $300. It's a really, really nice thing to use. For again, if you don't have a super high budget, and you've already got an iPod Touch and you've got your iPhone and maybe you have an iPad at your organization, you could do that as well. It does work with BoxCast. I don't know if I have any like good tips or anything like that, but it is a really, really cool product. Let's see. Okay.
I think.
Oh, last one for Todd here. You do not need 1,000 subscribers to stream to your YouTube channel. That is only through their mobile app. If you use any other you don't even need BoxCast. If you use OBS or Wirecast or you have a separate encoder, you can stream directly to YouTube without having 1,000 subscribers. I think if they're talking about if you want to like use it either as an encoder, like as in just use YouTube and like plug everything into YouTube and use it, or their mobile app only. I've seen that before, and it definitely has confused some people. We were streaming on here way before Josh got more than 1,000 subscribers. But yeah, I think
Wasn't you got 1,000 subscribers too?
where on.
You're a part of this.
Oh, me too. I do help Josh a lot with this stuff.
That way
but-
we wouldn't be anywhere.
And then last
Kevin.
question I think we'll tackle in here, because you guys have a lot. Like I said, feel free to email us. Is because it's very common right now. Like, how do these setups work with Zoom, or like any kind of conferencing software? With Zoom in particular, you can actually live stream directly from Zoom. So you can stream right to your Facebook page, right to YouTube, I think, and then a custom destination. So that custom destination could be BoxCast. So that's actually how we do some of our meetings here at BoxCast. We'll have like a company meeting and we'll live stream it to Zoom and we'll save it on our platform so we have it for backup. But yeah, it makes it so, you can also hook a switcher up to Zoom, if you wanted. Like with this A10 Mini Pro, since it is a capture card, which basically is the device you need to hook into your computer to hook cameras up to it, you could hook 2-3 cameras up to this, and then you could essentially, I clicked the button on there, don't worry about that. You could hook 2-3 cameras up to this, and like a PowerPoint slide, a camera, and then plug that all into Zoom and tell it to pull this as your camera angle. So that's kind of, me and Josh are live streaming a cooking show tomorrow, and that's actually what we use the A10 Mini Pro for. Is we have all the same setup, we run everything into this, we output to my computer and tell it to, hey, pull this camera angle as a webcam, and show the people that feed. So hopefully that helped answer the Zoom thing, but I think we're done. Let me just check.
We're getting there.
I think Josh is just firing away questions over here.
I want to also make sure we put probably should have preloaded graphics. Again, we were trying to do everything at once, so sorry we didn't have like the full graphics suite available
thank
for
you.
this. But I'll put, how about we just type it in the chat? We'll put our contact information up if you guys want to get more in the weeds.
Right.
If you're a BoxCast customer, I would always recommend just contacting our support team because they're going to respond to you like right away. Whereas we take a little more time. But if you have like workflow related things, or you just want to ask like me and Wade a question, we can definitely help you via email or
and I'll say
phone.
Thank you, Tom, on Facebook too for saying one other thing too. Another thing about DSLRs is they only have like a 30-minute runtime, most of them. So they're just DSLRs are a little weird for live streaming.
Yeah.
We don't really have time to talk about it in this.
Oh, one last question. Is BoxCast just another competitor to OBS and Wirecast? It's a very, very good question. The best way to we're more of a streaming service, so similar to Vimeo Live, or I don't even know any other live streaming services. It's more of like an end-to-end streaming platform. A lot of people push their Wirecast streams to us. They use Wirecast as a production software, and then they push it to our cloud platform, and then we distribute it to multiple social destinations. Yep. We give you all those features in the cloud to allow you to add like pre-roll videos to your live stream. It's more of like a live streaming solution for organizations, probably businesses too.
Sure.
People that want to take streaming to the next level. The video quality is just like really outstanding. People use OBS and they push their stream to us as well. People use vMix.
I wouldn't say they're like competitors. I would just say they're tools that you can use.
We're all in the same community.
We're all in the same thing. Like they're tools you can actually use with BoxCast. Like we get that a lot with like Sling Studio, which is like a wireless hub that you can hook wireless actual video cameras up to, and people are like, oh, are they a competitor? It's like, not really. Like they're doing the same thing as us, but you can actually send their signal to us as well. So but I think on that.
Turtle dance music. Stay tuned. It's coming. We just want to make it really good. So need HDMI out for preview/recording on BoxCaster. That's a really good suggestion. In the meantime, what we recommend to people is to buy like a $50 HDMI splitter and use that before you get to the BoxCaster. So plug it in, and then the splitter will output 2 different ways. So there is that. Eric Coleman, we need to get some more shirts.
We need to get more shirts in so we can send them to you guys. I agree. So
I'm actually working on, for this channel, getting some shirts just for the channel. like with the logo on
Wow.
it, maybe with Wade's face like fully like printed across, because he's great. So if you want to order one of those, hit me up.
We'll work on that.
We could do like some merch.
Yeah.
Guys, BoxCast is the product to buy, bottom line. Thanks, Hugo. That's very, very, we appreciate that feedback. So yeah, we do, I mean, we just give you a lot more flexibility in the live stream world. I would say once you're at the organizational level, you're like a church, a sports team, an athletic conference, a giant business, and you need a live streaming solution, then that's when people will sign up for us. Just like any other like cloud-based subscription that you would sign up for where you need it to be more robust. Right. I like to tell people we're the HubSpot for streaming, but that's unofficial branding. I'm going to get yelled at for saying that later, but
okay. Well,
we got it.
I think we're good.
One more question. What's the name of the switches you have on the table? Again, check out the kit. This is the Roland V1 HD. This is the 995 one. This is the A10 Mini, not the A10 Mini Pro. This is the 299 one. And Kevin, if you want to cut to...
Yeah, hang on. I'll plug Kevin's camera back in real quick.
Yeah.
So you can see what we're using to actually switch between. All right.
Show them what you got. And that's the A10 TV Studio. The switcher on the left is $995. The recorder on the right is $695. But again, that's what we use as like a video production company and for our webinars, because it's just like, especially for these where we have, I think, 6 different inputs today. We have 6 different inputs, and we need SDI and HDMI, and we need to output to a good recorder that records locally in case anything happens to the stream.
Yep.
And
I think it goes
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Kevin, turn our audio off and fade to black. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. This was a long one. This was long, but I think it was good. Hope you guys enjoy.
Somebody wants the Wade T-shirt.
We'll try and like index this somehow on YouTube and make it a little easier to find data when we're talking about it. But yeah, thanks so much, guys, and hopefully you have a great day. Have a great rest of your week, and I'm sure if you guys need anything, let us know.
And fade to black.